I recently did a video on 10 teams that I think will be better for the next college football season. But in this video, I want to do the complete opposite. I want to talk about 10 teams that I think will have worse records next season than they did this season. I don't like focusing on the negatives of college football. I try to keep it positive, but I want to give a future outlook on some of these teams and talk about college football. It's that simple. So I'm going to talk about 10 teams that I think will be worse next season. And just to add something to this video, I'm going to predict the record for every single team I have in my top 10 for next season. Obviously, it's still way too early to tell, but I am just speculating. But without further ado, let's get into this video. And at number 10, I do have Duke. Look, I know Duke did get a really good quarterback out of the portal in Darian Mensah. He should be an upgrade from Malik Murphy. But this Duke team also favored from a very easy schedule in 2024. I'm expecting them to take somewhat of a step back next season. They're not super talented, and Darian Mensah will not be able to lead this team to a great record in my opinion. They lost their star running back to the portal, and they are losing some pieces on this team. Duke will have a tougher schedule next year, and I think they will take a step down. In 2024, Duke went 9-3, but in 2025, I think Duke will go 7-5. At number 9, I do have Washington State. Now, this is a tough one because they do have a pretty easy schedule next year. But I really do see them taking a step down in their record. They lost 36 players to the transfer portal, they lost their head coach, and they have to completely revamp this team. More importantly, they lost one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the nation in John Matier, who is very good and went to Oklahoma. Washington State really lost a lot, and I do expect them to take a step back. They should still make a bowl game and be okay because they play a very weak schedule in the group of 5. They've had to revamp the coaching staff, and maybe they will be better in the future, but I do expect them to take a step back next season. So Washington State went 8-4 in the 2024 regular season. I do think they will make a bowl game next year, but I only have them going 6-6. The next team I do want to talk about is Iowa State. Look, it was a great season for Matt Campbell and Iowa State. They went 10-2 and had their first double-digit win season, I believe, in program history. Matt Campbell has kept this team decent, and I do think they will be decent next year, but I have to think they will take a step down. I don't see them winning double-digit games again. They don't have a transfer portal class, and they lost some elite playmakers. They lost their top 2 wide receivers to the NFL. I expect this team to take a step back. So Iowa State went 10-2 in 2024, but I think they will go 8-4 in 2025. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Iowa State took an even bigger step down. I'm just being optimistic with them right now. But they really lost some key pieces, so I'm pretty certain that they will take a step back. At number 7, I have the Colorado Buffaloes. Look, I think it's simple with this team. There's so many rumors about Deion Sanders going to the NFL, and I don't know if that's actually going to happen. But one thing is for certain that they did lose their top 2 best players in Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter. They also lost some key pieces on defense, some of their best defensive playmakers. I do think if Deion Sanders stays there for another couple of years, this team will be in the running for the Big 12. But I am expecting a step back from them next year. They lost some very key pieces on that team. And if Deion Sanders leaves for the NFL, this team is especially taking a step back, no doubt about it. I will say they have a bright future at the quarterback position if they can develop Julian Lewis, the 5-star quarterback that they got. They also got Kaden Salter out of the portal. He's a good quarterback, but he is not Shedeur Sanders. This Colorado team went 9-3 in 2024. I'm going to say they take a step back and go 6-6 in 2025. At number 6, I have West Virginia. I really don't have any optimism for this West Virginia team, to be honest. I don't trust Neil Brown as a head coach. They were supposed to be a good team this year, and I predicted them to have a bad season, and that's exactly what they did. A lot of people were questioning me for predicting West Virginia to have a down season, but they barely made a bowl game, and I predicted them to only win 6 or 7 games. And next season, I expect them to take another step back. They just don't have great talent, and I don't trust Neil Brown as a head coach either. They've had to completely revamp the team with losing their top playmakers on offense. They have picked up 27 average transfer portal players, and I just don't expect them to be great next year. I think teams around them are getting a lot better in the Big 12. So West Virginia did go 6-6 in 2024, but I think they will go 4-8 in 2025. I think they will be one of the worst teams in the Big 12 next season. At number 5, I have Syracuse. I'm also expecting Syracuse to take a step back in their win-loss record. The reason I expect the Syracuse team to take a step back is because they lost some key pieces, including quarterback Kyle McCord. They are an historically good program, and they have a brutal 2025 schedule if you look at that schedule. They had an easy 2024 schedule, and that's why they won 9 games in the regular season. But right now, they have one of the worst ACC transfer portal classes. I do think Fran Brown was a really good hire for this team, but I'm expecting a step back next season. So Syracuse went 9-3 in 2024. I think they're only going to go 6-6 next season. I'm excited to see what the future of Syracuse football looks like. Like I said, I think Fran Brown is a good football coach. I think this team has a bright future, but I think next year they have a brutal schedule. And I think because of that, it's going to be a tough year for Syracuse. This may be controversial to some people, but I have Arkansas at number 4. I do think they don't have the brightest future in the SEC, and it's going to be a gauntlet for them moving forward. They lost a lot of players to the transfer portal. I know they built that coaching staff. They took a step forward this season. Sam Pittman and Bobby Petrino are making it work okay so far. But I think the teams around them in the SEC have way brighter futures, and I'm just expecting Arkansas to take a step back next season. And they do have a tough schedule as well. I just really don't trust this Arkansas program that much. It was a solid 2024 season. They went 6-6 in the regular season, but I think they will take a step down and be one of the worst teams in the SEC next season, going 4-8. And at number 3, I have Iowa. I'm also expecting Iowa to take a step back next season. I actually predicted Iowa to take a step back in 2024, and that's exactly what happened. I will say they were a bit better than I expected, but they did only go 8-4. And I think teams in the Big Ten around them have a lot brighter futures. Iowa has the worst transfer portal class right now, and they lost one of the better running backs in the nation in Caleb Johnson. I don't see them winning 8 games again next season. I'm just going to be honest with you. They have a tough schedule, and I think there's so many teams on that schedule they could lose to. I will say they did get a quarterback from the FCS level that is very intriguing, Mark Gronkowski. But just looking at what Iowa lost and the trajectory of the programs in the Big Ten, I'm going to say Iowa takes a step back next year. Iowa went 8-4 in the regular season in 2024. I think they go 6-6 next season. Number 2, I have Indiana. Now, don't get me wrong. I think Curt Cignetti is a great coach. I think this Indiana team has a bright future. And I don't see them taking a huge step back next year, at least talent-wise. But I am expecting a step back in the win-loss column. They have to play at Oregon and at Penn State, and they have a much brutal schedule. And I don't see this Indiana team having another double-digit win season, at least in the regular season. Teams around them are talented and getting better, just like I said about Iowa. Indiana got favored with one of the easiest schedules this season in the Power 4, and that's why they went 11-1 in the regular season. Fernando Mendoza was a great quarterback pickup, but you cannot build this team just off of transfer portal pickups. There's still going to be a talent gap between them and other teams. So Indiana went 11-1 in 2024, but I'm going to say they take a small step back next season, and I think they will go 9-3. And the last team I want to talk about is Missouri. I'm really expecting them to take a step back next year. They favored from a very easy schedule in 2024, but I also think the trajectory of this program is trending downhill in my opinion. Look, they picked up some big pieces in the transfer portal. They have one of the better SEC transfer portal classes, but there's so many teams in the SEC with very bright futures. Teams like Florida, South Carolina, LSU, Auburn, Texas A&M. Now looking at Missouri's schedule next year, I think there's a lot of losable games on there. They're losing some NFL talent this season, and I don't expect them to be very good next season. I think they will be a good team, but the SEC is going to be a gauntlet. They are a very intriguing team, though. They picked up an elite receiver in Kevin Coleman Jr. They picked up a very good running back in Ahmad Hardy. And they got an elite edge rusher in Damon Wilson. Missouri went 9-3 in 2024 in the regular season. They favored from an easy schedule. But I am going to say they're going to take a step back next season and go 7-5. But anyways, that is going to do it for this video. I know it's still way too early to make this video, but I'm honestly just speculating. A lot of my predictions are going to change this offseason. But you guys let me know which teams you think will be worse next season in their win-loss record. But let me remind you guys to like the video and also subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. And if you guys love college football, then you'll love this channel because we upload a ton of college football content and we basically cover everything on this channel. so definitely consider subscribing. And also consider checking out my socials down in the description below. But that is going to do it, guys, and peace out.